Hey, welcome to Storytime with Gena. I'll be your Gena for the evening. To my left this time is the illustrious Mr. Spangled Bear.
Hello.
And to my left is Greg Linz.
Hello, Gena. How are you?
I am fucking fantastic. How are you guys this evening?
I could be better.
Yeah, that was interesting. We just had
It's
really
been a traumatic day.
episode of We Are Libertarians. Greg, how are you doing?
Well, I am. I'll be all right. I'll figure this out. I'm good.
Greg's over here running, I don't know, what would you call that?
I'm putting it away
crisis
because I will
control?
not let that distract from Storytime with Gena.
That's
Aw,
right.
you're
Nothing
so
is more
kind.
sacred than story time. with
Yes,
Gena.
well, pillow talk.
That's right.
Well, hopefully this evening, if we get an opportunity, we're going to try to give Blue a call. This is because he called me to check up on me. I hadn't heard from him since I got back, and he wanted to make sure I did the drive okay, and I told him that I swung by a couple of his hometowns, and one of them being Memphis. And he mentioned that when Martin Luther King was shot, he was a few blocks away from the Lorraine Hotel. So I thought that we would get that story. Apparently riots broke out, and I'm sure it's a very colorful tale of survivalism from Blue's perspective.
He's always getting into some stuff.
Yeah. If there's shit going down.
You're not named Blue without a few great stories.
Right.
Fact. So hopefully sometime in today's broadcast we'll get to that. But I have had just a fucking crazy week myself, so I was hoping we could sit around and shoot the shit a little.
Well,
Sounds good. I
Let's
could
hear
use
it.
it.
Oh, so my mother is losing or has lost, I should say at this point, her home. She got into a mortgage that was decent when she was married and then refinanced upon divorce. And the mortgage broker that talked her into refinancing was a very, very
slick salesman.
charismatic individual. And she got to the point where she had refinanced like 3 times.
Taking cash out every time, I'm sure.
The mortgage value on the house was like $300,000, and the actual value of the house was like $90,000, and it was in such a state of disrepair that the basement was just so full of mold.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was just an unhealthy home. So it's almost
Right.
good to see it go, but it was one of those. I had 3 days to go through, 25 years of shit that never got thrown away properly because, yeah. So I got to take one of those strolls down memory lane while busting my ass simultaneously, and got home after being covered with all of this like garage dirt and basement. You could not imagine the basement funk that was
Right.
all over me, and just box funk, And guess whose hot water heater went out?
Oh, great. So this is going to be an uplifting story time with Gena.
Right. So you remember all my bragging about my shower time last week?
Yeah.
Guess whose shower no longer works?
Oh,
That was
my.
that distinct odor.
yeah. That's me over here.
We were saying you look great, but really it's just the grease and the dirt.
Yeah, my hair looks all healthy.
She's shining.
Shimmering. So I had the maintenance man at my house all day trying to take care of the hot water heater, and still no luck as of the time that I left this evening. So.
Do you have cold water, though?
Oh, yeah, cold water. Cold water works.
They say cold water is a great health benefit. Like cold showers, you're supposed to like.
They are crazy.
Perks you up. Yeah.
It's got health benefits too.
Does it?
It does. It actually does.
I've done it twice, and I can say that it's not a pleasant experience. Oh, I've also.
Did you just belch in their ears?
I did. I'm really sorry, listeners. I tried not to.
It wouldn't be Storytime with Gena if she had
If
stomached that.
If there weren't some sort of flatulence on the show, it wouldn't be story time with Gena.
Truth. I ended up misrepresenting myself intentionally this week, which is something I try to avoid doing, but I did.
Rich billionaire.
No.
Sheena Dartinez.
Yes, Sheena Dartinez. Actually, I have some friends who run a small business, and they got a great opportunity to take a large client, and they did. And they bit off more than they can chew. They took a huge order, which was difficult for them to pull off, but they did pull it off. And the client in question changed things dramatically. So they had planned on it being, due on, let's say, the 9th.
Aha, we're talking about payment terms of the large client.
Yes.
I know that.
Yeah, that'll gag.
So basically it became a fiasco. When it came to delivery of the product and service, the client changed things at the last minute, and they conformed, and they made it happen, and they made it work, even though they had to jump through hoops of flaming fire.
put their entire business at risk.
Exactly,
and risk
exactly.
Making
And
payroll.
and this is a small business owned by a couple that has 4 children. And when it came time for payment, the company backed out of the agreement, which was that the money would be due in advance. Mm-hmm. And then they got an email from someone within the corporation stating that it would be paid upon delivery. Do not worry, the money will be waiting when the product is delivered. Mm-hmm. They delivered the product, which was edible, so it's not like they could go back and retrieve it.
Oh, no.
And the company refused to pay.
Net 90. Give us 90 days and we'll get you your money.
Right. And so this family of four little boys and a mother and father whose only income is through this operation was without any funds, period, the entire weekend. They could not re-up their store. And my dearest friend, who owns and operates the business, one of my dearest friends, called me crying more than I could possibly tell you over the course of that week as a result of that deal. So upon Monday morning, when they were at least 13 days late on payment and from the original agreement, and at least 4 days late from the
verbal agreement,
from the
right.
modified
verbal agreement. I'm sure not the legal agreement.
Oh, believe me, it got hairy because there was no official contract signed because I was down in New Orleans and I tend to be the business head of the operation.
Wait a minute. When did you get into the import-export business? Like, all of a sudden we're talking about you with your job, but what is the job? Where did this come from?
There are a couple things that I've got my fingers in that you guys don't know anything about, but this one that I'm talking about is not an import-export. How did you know about the import-export?
Well, you were a Martinez.
I made a
Martinez cartel in Colombia. Or is it
Gina's done talking.
Cartagena.
Gina's done talking about what Gena does in her spare time. But the point of the matter is, on this situation, a good friend of mine was very emotional and trying to be a good sport about this company doing her wrong. And when she got a hold of the representative who kept telling her she was her friend in this matter and she was trying to help,
right.
And if they would just knock off X amount of dollars, she's sure they could expedite this invoice and get it paid, right? At which point my friend says, but I have no grocery money to feed my children. And this bitch laughed at her and said, I guess you should have had me sign something then, shouldn't you?
Oh, wow.
So she calls me crying, just bawling, can't believe that it's happened to her. And I've seen it coming because I was there for the whole thing. I was there at 2:30 in the morning making the product. I was there at 4:30 delivering the product. And I saw the look on that woman's face, and I knew how this was going to go down. So I thought about it for a bit, and then...
This is when...
Right.
Is Gena Martinez going to have to choke a bitch?
Yes, she was considering it. But instead, she got a hold of that lady's boss and might have misrepresented herself and her credentials, may have implied that she was calling on behalf of...
This is Gena Martinez,
yes.
Right?
Well, no, I used my name. I just didn't give him my last name. But I might have implied that I was calling on behalf of a media outlet who does a community... like a community watchdog situation. Might have said that we were going to run a story about it.
Raphael Martinez. Then.
Right. And might have gotten her paid within 25 fucking minutes.
I should have called you about 9 months ago.
Duh. If you need a situation repaired, call me. One phone call. Done. Every time. At least most of the time. So... I had to get that off my chest, people. I was dishonest this week.
What is this confession?
If you are I'll just say this. If you are a small business owner, when you get your first big contract and you think that's the big sail off into the distance where you can...
The make or break you moment.
That is when you act the most duplicitous.
Absolutely agree.
That is when you operate outside the bounds of the law, because then you can always go to the regulators and threaten that kamikaze point. Well, I'm just going to go tell them that I broke the law and you were breaking the law too. So
yeah,
this
I guess you're
settled.
complicit.
You have got to operate that way.
Oh.
I did not do that, and I should have, and I got screwed on it.
Well, had time not been a factor, I would have taken this young lady who did the laughing in my friend's face personally to small claims court for double the amount of the invoice. Because there was no contract signed, she could have been held accountable because all of the written correspondence was in her name alone. And I would have sued Terra X for double the amount of what a major automobile corporation had agreed to pay for an edible product for a major celebration.
Listen, you can never trust Tara Reid.
It's a fact,
that
man.
bitch went crazy.
Oh, man.
If you like crazy, though, there's no one better to trust than Tara Reid.
But I
right.
will say this. I made my phone call, and within 10 minutes, I was on a conference call with the owner of her corporation, the comptroller of her corporation, and a major executive at the corporation that they were hired by. So,
And you do work for a major media outlet.
I mean, yeah, we are major
We're
media.
exposing people one podcast at a time.
That's
Damn
right.
right.
That's right.
America.
So that was both funny and victorious for me this
Well
week.
done. I am proud of you.
Thank you.
I am proud
Breaking
of you.
news.
You did the right thing.
All right.
And sometimes doing the right thing means operating outside the bounds of false laws.
Breaking all your moral code.
No. They already broke it first. Now you got licensed.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. No, once she laughed and in her face, I was ready to choke a hoe. I really was.
I
so,
will choke a hoe.
so instead, I called her boss, and I was like, listen, let's talk about this.
She said, Gena called her up and said, hey, brah.
Hey, brah.
Hey, brah.
Where's my money, brah? So,
I visual in my head, I'm visualing like a rap shelter on
Yeah,
the 8
hey.
Mile, and Gena
Yeah.
walks
Hey.
up on stage.
baby, I got your money.
Oh, my.
My client is Cheddar Bob. He did shoot himself in the leg.
Fact. So that was I guess that's the most exciting parts of my week. I'm sure that there are other pieces in there I'm leaving out, but what's your deal been like, Spangle Bear?
Well, I've had a great day.
Yeah.
And then We're Libertarians happened.
And then
the
that
part
happened.
And then the part that we edited out because it's just too real.
Yeah.
It's just too real.
We got onto the topic of bullying, and there were 4 of us in the room, and I guess one of us had really experienced more bullying than the other 3 might have been considerate of. I mean, I don't know. No one spoke out of term. No one said anything offensive.
No one said anything wrong at all. There was just
Context matters, though. And
Yeah. And
I mean, I wasn't bullied. I mean, I didn't have those experiences. So, like, I called it like I saw it, and that should have been a little more sensitively worded.
I don't think that you can take
No.
responsibility for what happened, because I think that was a past demon coming back to revisit
Yeah.
all of us. And basically it showed us the consequences of what bullying can create in a
Yeah.
person's psyche.
that when you're in a room of people that you love and trust, that you will yell at them. So
Yeah, basically.
I'm not entirely sure I've earned said trust, and now I can be certain I have.
Well,
no, hey,
we love
Will
her.
you walk me to my car after this is over?
no,
I
no.
will. I'll protect you.
Listen.
Thank you. I fear you more than anyone.
You play
Good
with
reason.
fireworks, you get a finger blown off every once in a while.
Says
Yeah.
the guy with 10 fingers over there.
That's right.
10 fingers and an arm full of M80s.
Yeah.
No, my week has been great. I'm just at. I've got a lot of opportunities, and I
Speaking
can't.
of that first big contract that you need to be real careful of.
Yeah, I mean, no. I've got a lot of opportunities. I'm in a good place. Like, to be honest, to be totally honest, let's get real, people.
Let's
and I
get
know
real.
there are a lot of people from the Libertarian Party listening. People who know me personally. Like last year, this time in October, I wasn't really happy.
I remember this year last time in October.
Like, here's the thing. I loved the job at the Libertarian Party of Indiana. It was a great opportunity. It was a lot of fun a lot of the time. It was also a very tough job. It was a very difficult job. You have all of the responsibility. You have
to all the candidates.
a little authority. You
in the
have,
last month before elections.
yeah, and it's just a very stressful time. You've got a candidate that is within the party, a lightning rod, and Rupert. And it just was a very tough time. And I also didn't make a lot of money, and so that stress didn't help. I was gone from my wife. That didn't help with the stress. And luckily we've moved past that. But it's just very difficult, and I didn't feel like I had a lot of options. Like, if I had gotten fired, I don't know what I would have done. And an opportunity came along to take a job with a marketing company and work for the Advocates for Self-Government, doing their marketing. I get to do a couple other projects with this company, and it's just opened up a lot. Like, it's opened up the opportunity to do this.
Right.
kind of grow this into something that I really enjoy doing.
Did
60,
Until tonight.
63,
Right.
62 out of 63 episodes. Hey, listen, every month there's at least one show that I just wish we hadn't done. But, hey, what can you do? But Storytime with Gena is never one of them.
Aw.
But now I find myself with a variety of options, and I am just
you're on the verge of blowing up, buddy.
loving life as it is. So
You are on the verge of blowing up.
I'm good. I mean, and I don't want anybody listening to think that I didn't appreciate. I mean, 80 people donated to the party to pay my salary, and I will be
Wow.
forever grateful for.
But forget you little people while I wave
no,
off.
it's not that at all. It's just I don't want anybody to hear it and think like I was miserable because of money or anything like that, because that wasn't
No,
the
it was
case.
just a high stress situation.
Yeah, it just
and now
was.
you can see relief.
Yeah, so good times. Let me
Good
read that.
times, yeah.
Let me read that.
Oh wow.
I
I am still off the wagon. Is that how on the wagon, off the wagon? What is it when you no longer do a thing?
do a thing. You're on the wagon.
Okay, so I'm still on the Facebook wagon.
You are on the
Good.
Facebook wagon, so you are not joining us in our
No.
private chat room that is
Right.
full of interesting and incredible discussions.
I'm at a loss.
Yeah, I would be lying if I said that were true.
So that's going well though. I can't really complain about. not-
Yeah.
Now, you seem much happier since you abandoned social media.
Yesterday I abandoned my phone, so I didn't even charge it until
It's not
about
even here, is it?
Yeah, it's here, but I
Okay.
just
Honestly,
grabbed
I
it.
think my life would improve greatly if I just stopped doing social media. Like, there are times where last night where it produces a few chuckles, but I think it would, maybe I'll just take that step and but see, I work on Facebook, so I really
Yeah.
can't, but
I enjoy trolling way too much.
Yeah.
It is so fun to infuriate people and not care at all the outcome. I can't imagine a better cathartic release than that.
I don't know. I care too much about the outcome. People just make, like, Maya's posting right now on Facebook. I'm just going to share with the people. And it mentions suicide and all kinds of things. Not her personally committing suicide, but a situation where bullying could lead to a suicide. And I'm the type of person I wouldn't want to be responsible for putting someone else in a frame of mind that would cause them to do such a thing.
yeah.
No, but I also think
way to go, Greg.
that medium gives you the same power to build someone up to the point where to change their life completely.
But who are you to determine that person needs to be changed?
You are not anyone, but if they're out there searching in the wilderness and you can be that one spark that turns it around forever, I think that's the potential for greatness. And
The one spark is great. I feel you, but
unfortunately,
I guess
social
it just
media
depends on how you find
is
it.
negative. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is all about voyeurism and vanity and presenting this well-coiffed, the most ideal version of yourself when in reality you're hanging on by a thread.
See, I just flaunted my thread. I was like, hey, people, look at my thread. Ain't it awesome? And I was barely clinging to that. Spanglebear, are you still in Facebook right now?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, where did Spanglebear go?
I was staring at my cats because I was squirting them with a water bottle.
We should say staring down.
I'm a
like it
terrible
was
father.
vicious.
Look.
He was abusing his cat.
Mittens and muffins have been terrorized. He creates an environment of fear so they will love him
I don't blame him. I
and
would too.
recognize his dominance.
I
They
love,
see him as the giant, hairless, like feline ruler.
I love trolling my cats.
Aw,
In person, though, not
Yeah.
on the internet.
right?
All right.
Yeah. So, what? Fuck, I don't even know. Like, do you guys want to try giving Blue a call? See if he's up.
Yeah, let's,
Of course.
Let's
do
use
it.
your phone.
If I get to
though.
talk to Blue, I'm talking to
Yeah,
Blue.
yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like a restaurant.
Yeah, it was the country club where I got naked.
With the hairy Serbian that you said essentially had no shot at you ever. That's a bit rough on a guy's psyche.
Hey, record now just in case he
Oh, I am recording.
It's a trap.
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet.
We need to say to him, you need to, schedule it.
I did. I told him I'd give him a call Thursday morning, though, and then like I said, I've been going through a digital detox, and
Yeah.
I've been completely without cell phone until I got in my car to come here. And then when I got in my car to come... Are we recording now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got in my car to come here this evening, and I realized I needed to drop something off. So I drove north, dropped it off, drove back down here. That's why I was a few minutes late. Oh, he's calling me back. Hold on. Here we go.
Cool.
Blue Bayou.
Is that my Blue?
Hello?
Is that you, darling?
I was wondering who's calling. This is Chris.
No, this is Blue, ain't it?
Yeah.
All right. This
Oh, it's Gena?
Yeah. How are you doing?
Oh, hey. All right, baby. I was about half-assed asleep. I've been in here reading a book, man.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. I've got just a little bit of battery left. I got you on the radio, though. You're on my radio podcast, okay?
Oh, okay.
I wanted you to tell me what you started to talk about the other day with the Lorraine Hotel and you being down in Memphis when Martin Luther King was shot.
Yeah. Well, it's just major havoc. The street kind of exploded, man, with riots and burning, and it's a bad situation.
Where were you?
Huh?
Where were you?
I was in Orange Mountain. They call it Voodoo Village. It's a section of Memphis. It's about 2 blocks from the Lorraine Hotel.
Okay, so were you sitting at home? Were you out with friends?
No, I had some guys that worked for me that lived there in the project. I just over there partying with them, man. All of a sudden, the breaking news come over the television. We heard the gunshot.
You heard them.
Yeah.
Damn.
Blue, this is
For the breaking news come over the television.
Blue. This is Greg Lenz. I occasionally help with Gena's podcast. Were you near Beale Street when this happened?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 2 blocks from there.
You were 2 blocks from Beale Street, and
Yeah.
what do you think? Has there been a moral leader like Martin Luther King Jr. since his assassination?
No way.
No.
No.
Don't you think that's a shame?
Sure do. It was a great loss.
What do you think made him so effective, in your opinion?
Why do you think he worked?
I don't think he worked. to be truthful,
Well,
if he would, he'd still be alive.
yeah.
You know, and it goes right back to the Kennedy assassinations and everything. And anybody that tried to do any type of civil rights over the years has been annihilated, more or less.
What was all the unrest like, and being in that while you were living through it?
It was hair raising. It was hair raising. I was in Vietnam after the fact, and it was nothing like South Memphis and the night Martin Luther King got killed. It come unglued, and the racial tension was horrible. I think Caucasian in a sea of black.
Yeah.
And it was really bad. It was a bad situation. I'm surprised I got out of there. If it hadn't been for my 2 black friends, I probably wouldn't have. They kind of hid me out in the back of their Cadillac, got me out of the neighborhood, got me back across Arkansas.
Where were Kathy and the kids?
Uh-huh.
Where were Kathy and the kids? Oh, the
They
kids
were
weren't there
home in
yet,
Arkansas.
huh?
The kids weren't there, but Kathy was. She was at home in Arkansas.
All right, so they were safe.
Yeah. Yeah, my son wasn't born in 71.
Yeah. That's crazy. So did you
Yeah.
have to do any fighting to get out, or were you just like literally hid
No,
and
not really.
escorted?
Yeah, I got escorted out. I had friends in the community that helped escort me out of there. Otherwise, I'd have probably died right there that night.
Why?
Damn. Did
Yeah.
anybody die that night besides Dr. King?
Well, sure. Casualties and fatalities all over Memphis, all over the United States, as a matter of fact, for a few days after that. Are either one of y'all old enough to remember that?
I'm the
Remember
oldest
the
one
riots
here,
and
baby.
everything?
No, I'm the oldest one here.
I know you're not, Gena.
I know, and I'm the oldest one.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
That's why we wanted to call
Well,
you, because it's something my generation doesn't have perspective on.
Yeah, and the other young man asked about the other civil rights leaders. Jesse Jackson was a joke.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I don't believe there ever be another civil rights worker like
It's like a Gandhi or a Mother Teresa. They're kind of one of a kind, and
That's right.
a lot of them end up being martyrs. So it's a difficult path for someone
I feel
who's...
that Martin Luther King ended up being a martyr
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
in my book.
Hey, Blue, this is Greg Lenz again. And hey, I was just wondering, like, you live in New Orleans. That's a really proud town. People are proud to be from New Orleans. And going through Katrina and seeing that rebuilding stage, what do you feel is like missing from New Orleans? Like, kind of, I guess, reclaiming that pride and really building it. They get a chance to rebuild from the ground level. What do you see that's different now from when you first moved there?
Not a thing. Not a thing. The rent prices are high. That's all.
Yeah.
The people are the same, though. The economy here is very resilient. Most people are in the service industry, and Katrina really didn't affect New Orleans that way, I don't think.
Yeah, it's steel.
You know, they're still putting little pieces together like the Lower Ninth Ward. But all in all, you know, it done away with a lot of the sound in the project.
Has the rebuilding changed like the makeup of New Orleans at all?
No.
No.
New Orleans has been through several fires over the years, and other catastrophes, and nothing to change the face of New Orleans.
Nothing yet. That's right.
If it did, it wouldn't be New Orleans anymore.
It's true.
Great point.
Well,
You know, it's a very resilient city. I don't know if I answered the question that you were asking, but I feel like I gave it the best shot I could, sir.
you did a great job, darling. Thank
Very well.
I love Blue.
Yeah, we all decided we love Blue, so we wanted to have you on for any excuse whatsoever. You doing okay,
Well,
darling?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I get up early in the morning, go get some tests around the hospital again, but otherwise I'm doing all right.
All right, good to hear.
I think my grandson's supposed to come down and live with me for a while.
Oh, when's he coming?
Hopefully next week or so.
Really? All
Trying-
right. Well,
trying to set
keep me
something up.
posted.
I will, baby.
I know you'll have your hands full.
Yeah, I know what I'm dreading.
Yeah, it's gonna be you 50 years ago showing up on your doorstep.
I know, man, I know.
Yeah.
But maybe I have some kind of influence over the young man's life.
I hope so. I hope you have a great effect on him. He deserves to have
Well,
a
listen,
good role model.
I'm supposed to go home either sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
All right.
When I do, I've got a bunch of photographs of the destruction in Memphis and all that during the times of all the racial violence
Yeah, we'd love to see
and
him.
I'll post it all up to you.
Thank you, darling.
All right, I'm glad you called, Gena. I
You
like that
too. Thanks for
recognition
having us. Huh?
Yeah.
All right.
You know, that's okay. That's cool. Anytime you said you were going to call Thursday. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about you earlier. I said, well, I'll get that. That's why I ain't calling.
Yep, nope, I called. Sorry it was so late.
Well, no, it's all right. It's really not late. I'm just getting real old, man.
Aw. You get some rest. I'm going to let this phone charge and get back to chatting with these boys, but we had to call and let you weigh in.
Yeah, give little Dante a kiss for me.
You know I will.
Bye.
All right, bye.
That's my boy Blue.
That's my boy, Blue.
I love Blue.
I'm a little bit jealous she doesn't call us darling.
I know.
In a slight
you
southern
have
twang.
to earn darling.
The only time you get called darling on this show is when you've said something where she's like, that's her term for, like, you're an idiot.
No, that's
Like,
bless your heart.
That's bless your
bless her.
heart.
Darling is the term that I generally reserve for people who are very, very close to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess I'm second circle inner core.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
I'm
guys,
not in the circle
Well,
of trust.
you're
you guys
very-
are so hard friend zoned.
You're not. Well, I mean, look how you treat people, Greg.
Oh, Greg, you're really good.
Too soon.
But the
Greg.
precedent wasn't exactly a gold standard,
Some
if you will.
friend you are.
Yeah, right.
Too soon.
Find that raw spot and shove a burning rod into it.
Oh my God, you guys. Okay, so
I think it's ridiculous. She just said we're friend zone. How do you know I haven't friend zoned you?
Yeah.
that's
You-
what I'm saying. Like
guess
we're
what?
so
You
hard. Mutually
you are
friend
so
zoned.
hard friend zoned.
Okay, I've been friend zoned. My
You
bad.
are in the friend zone.
I
my
couldn't
friend.
get a piece of Greg if I tried
No.
my damnedest.
ever.
I'm
Ever.
gonna just go ahead and say that's not true.
Ever. I respect her as a woman too
Although
much.
there's not much
Oh,
mystery
God.
there, Greg. You've already seen her boobs.
I haven't actually. I'm one of the few that has not seen him.
I was nursing. How did you not?
I was looking the other way because
I
I'm a
did, too.
gentleman.
You
Yeah.
are so kind.
I did-
bless
While I
your
was
hearts.
feeding you wine, trying to get your baby
While
drunk.
I was plying you, yes, with
See,
alcohol.
I'm with you, Greg. I haven't either because I'm not gonna look like that. Just it's like, hey,
Aw.
No,
I have friends that I've scarred for life.
I mean,
because-
I like Gena. But I don't have hardly any friends that are girls, and I consider you one of them. Whether or not
Aw. Yes, darling. You're
after
absolutely
tonight,
one
I
of
don't
my
know
friends.
what's reciprocal and what's not.
Well,
But
right.
yeah, I consider you a friend. Don't look at you like that. Yeah,
Aw,
for
I like
sure.
that. Thank you. Sort of, I guess.
I would like to speak into your good titty, though.
Oh, well, you're in luck.
Because it can hear quite well.
Yeah, it's gifted.
Still needs to be a T-shirt.
It probably should. Why haven't we done that yet?
I'm telling
I
you,
don't
the
know.
wall store would just explode.
The
It
wall
would.
store speaking to my good titty?
I wanted to do it, but like nobody agrees with my elitist vision.
I think
Yeah.
you should.
Yeah, we are libertarians.
What would it take to start something like
Oh,
that?
it's cheap. Shopify, $29.99. Like I was going to start it, and I had this idea: it'd be the BMW symbol instead of blue and white. It'd be like the gray and black of us. On the back, say we're not snobs. We're just better than you. We are
See,
libertarians.
But I don't get it because we're not better than other people.
sure we are.
No, we're not.
Our philosophies are way more fleshed out than the average citizen.
More flesh- I would-
Politically, but morally, we're degenerates.
Not true.
Speak
we
for
choose
yourself.
not to enforce our morality on others,
Yes.
which means we're enlightened.
That's
Ooh,
true.
I like
Right?
that term.
See?
I just
I'm
am.
going to embrace enlightened, whether we've earned it or not.
I'm modest. I just don't think that kind of self-promotion is
know.
necessary. Hey, by the way, I'm wearing a brand
yeah,
new Spiffy We
absolutely.
Libertarians
At this
t-shirt.
moment,
Courtesy
he's
of Joe
wearing-
Ruiz.
Right.
Courtesy of Joe Ruiz, who we miss very much.
Totally wore this shirt all day on purpose.
It's a good-looking shirt, actually. He did a
agree.
good job.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
I wore it to Rupert's event and earned me some new libertarian follower people.
Nice.
I wouldn't say followers, but they were like, "You're a libertarian? I'm a libertarian." I'm like, "Yeah, you should talk to Joe Houtman at the LPIN and become a libertarian."
Everybody should.
So
We all are libertarians. They just don't know it yet.
you know,
That's
we
my,
are
that's my
libertarians.
I believe that to my core.
I bet a lot of
right.
people are going to find out this next election. I bet a lot of people are going to realize that, hey, there's a third party. Well, let's see what's going on there.
If they let them go.
Oh crap! I just sprayed my books.
Why?
See, I have a bookshelf, and I squirted the water bottle over at the cats, and
He has a lot of Bibles. You ever notice that?
I have. There's a
do.
lot of
a lot of Bibles.
the utmost for his highest, a bunch of Bibles. There's a lot going on.
One time, do you know Brenda Hubbard?
Yeah.
Brenda Hubbard was a friend of mine. She was in my room. She goes, "You're a very conflicted person." I go, "I don't think so." She goes, "You have a Christian devotional next to Eminem's book of lyrics." That's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Not
there you
true,
go.
because you're substance and sales
That's
all
right.
at the same time.
So
At the same time.
listen, you know,
It's
I
a
don't-
complex character you build there.
I
Spangler
haven't.
Bear.
I
You're going to
haven't
find
hit
this
you.
interesting, and I think you're going to hate it. There's a conference coming up. I believe he's an academic who spent the last 7 years trying to verify whether or not Jesus Christ lived.
Yeah.
He came across some documents that he claims the Roman aristocracy at the time of Paul, they created on purpose to create social order. And he's going to present this all in a documentary and at a conference in Rome.
Wow.
It's coming up in the next month or so. So I was interested to hear your thoughts and his.
Honestly, I have always been of the impression that Jesus lived, and the events surrounding his life have both been occluded. Is that the word I'm looking for? So,
Elusive.
at the Council of Nicaea, there were intentional decisions made to leave certain gospels out.
There was one.
Yes, but- well, there's
no,
more,
No,
but those-
there were a ton that were left out because if you look at
But it was one sect, the Arians.
if you look at the
Look at you, Mr. Nazi man.
if you look at the New Testament as it stands, you basically jump from the birth of Christ to the death of Christ. And you lose a lot of the coming of age, a lot of the era where he was a young teenager. You lose the Gospel of Thomas, which...
Gospel of James, his brother.
But the
Yeah.
reason that those were not included is because those gospels were written 300 years after Christ lived, and they don't have the
But there are stories of Jesus of Jesus killing a neighbor boy and then bringing him back to life.
yeah. But they
and-
were
From his brother. Decent first-hand
see,
reference.
they think the Gospel of Mark could have been written as soon as 65, so 65 years after Christ was born, so 32 years after he died. And there's a lot of manuscript evidence to back up the four Gospels that we have. They don't have the kind of manuscript evidence that you have with the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. those were written 300 to 500 years after Christ lived. So that's why those aren't included.
Well, that's why the church insists that those weren't included. But if you are foolhardy enough to take the church on face value...
It's not church, it's archaeological history.
Yeah.
No, archaeological history cannot confirm for you anyone's motivations.
No, that they can confirm the date it was recorded.
Right, which is what we're talking about.
Right, but
So-
they can...
Incentive and motivation is almost impossible to prove.
Okay.
How do we know that Caesar lived? Well, we know because of
Josephus
artifacts, writings. I mean, there are a lot of. I believe Christ lived as a human being. Whatever you think of his deity, it's almost every single scholar, no matter what they believe about Christ, believes that he lived. Muslim scholars believe that he lives. Jewish scholars believe that he lived. So,
I've just always assumed it personally that he did live.
Have you really?
It's never to me that someone could live as a decent human being is not that mind altering. Like I can totally believe that a man named Jesus Christ walked the earth and did good deeds.
Really?
That doesn't blow my mind at all.
What American is essentially given credit as the American of small government and American pride within the last 30 years has been dead for about 10?
Dead for a small government?
Small government, American pride, strength, peace through strength. Tear down that wall.
Oh yeah, and Reagan. I was with you.
In about 20 years, we went from a man who raised taxes. He cut taxes initially, but then in fact raised them.
Right.
And then in fact raised the debt limit 3 times.
Right.
Who really...
I mean, we make our idols. We make our idols what we want to see.
It took how long? How long did it take?
Maybe 20 years. You're right. It didn't take long at all.
So, Mark...
Hell, he wasn't even... tell
Right.
you what, when he came down with Alzheimer's, he achieved sainthood.
He had Alzheimer's in the
Republican?
White House.
I know, but
year.
when
Yeah.
it became public that
Yeah.
he came down with Alzheimer's, he became a Republican.
So, I mean, you can see how easily legends
idol.
are created.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's revisionist history anywhere you go.
Yes.
Now,
Which is why
attached-
something that came from a brother would be a decent account. in
now
my
attach
opinion.
divinity to it.
I know.
Okay, but there are also how many times in the New Testament are there witnesses? There's one specific example of 500 witnesses witness a miracle.
The wedding of Cana,
Right.
water into wine. Arguably the most important thing Jesus did in the Bible was around alcohol. Just wanted to get that.
Just pointing that out.
Arguably the most important thing that we do in podcasting is around alcohol. But if there are 500 witnesses to something, there arguably are people living on, and the you can say they're myths, you can say that they're truths. Like there wasn't a lot of refutation of what actually happened. There was
Right, but how many people saw David Copperfield make the Statue of Liberty disappear? Fucking hundreds of thousands tuned in.
Well, but
and
David-
something tells me it never went anywhere.
Yeah, but David Copperfield also has a technological advantage over whatever Jesus had as a magician.
Right, but I'm just saying if Jesus had, like, powdered something at the bottom of the carafe where the wine appeared, then...
Well, there is a lot of
There were-
speculation that he was a mystic.
There
And
were
that he had-
hundreds,
yeah.
but there were hundreds of mystics at that particular time. Why did Jesus catch on in the others?
No, I actually believe like you, and you're one of the
Right.
few Christians who it's not for you. Like this is my argument: is that Christians look at it as an economic decision. It's the afterlife. It's the promise of eternal life, and so that's what's always bothered me. Whenever I encounter someone who says they're a Christian, we get into an argument about some historical fact. It's that, well, what are you going to do if you're wrong? And I'm like, that's irrelevant. It's
I
about
ran into
the
that this
lifestyle.
weekend.
It's
Yeah.
about this is the way for human freedom and prosperity and to love each other.
Right.
That's
That
what
point
Christ
gets
lived.
missed
And
so
Spangle
much.
lives that. Where
Yeah.
that's not always true for a lot of people.
Like people will sit there and they'll say, "How could you be friends with Maya if you're a Christian?" It's like because Maya's my friend, and regardless of what gender she is, or
And Jesus
who
never
cares?
said only, like, keep unto thyself. Like,
Right.
that never happened.
I love Maya, even after the arguments that we've had tonight. Like, I love her to death, and I'm going. What if I don't show her unconditional love?
Who will?
Who will? And you are there to, and I give that to everybody. I mean, I didn't become a Christian. I mean, there were a lot of milestones where, I was a hardcore atheist all through high school. I remember going to Billy Graham when he was here in 1996 and just like, this is the stupidest shit I have ever seen in my life.
Really?
I sang in the choir.
Really?
I sang in the choir.
Oh, you're kidding.
I loved it.
There was one girl.
Our God is an awesome God. He reigns. Oh, I had all that stuff down.
I just remember there was one girl who got separated from the group, and she just was found crying in a stairwell, praying that God would have her be found. And it's like, get up, and walk yourself out to where the van was. Why are you waiting for God to save you? Like, it's so weak-minded.
See, it does become a crutch for some individuals,
right.
I believe.
So
I believe human is divine, personally.
Right.
Like, if we ever found
Okay.
Jesus' bones, it wouldn't question my or my spirituality.
Right.
Human is divine. We hold the control.
So-
we know what to do. Let's just knock it out and do it, and everybody quit bitching.
So what happened to me was,
I like it.
I went through a period of time where I was an atheist, and I went through I just started looking into a lot of, sort of as a philosophical exercise. And Christianity is so different than the other religions. It's not about being a good person. Like, to go to heaven in Christianity, you have to believe in the deity of Christ.
Right.
In the other religions, in Islam, in Judaism,
There's also
and
the
Hinduism.
10 Commandments.
Yeah,
but you're right.
but I'm
because
say-
once you believe and you're forgiven, you're forgiven.
Right. There's
All right, it's
you have to the scales have to balance out on the good side versus the bad side to go to heaven, if that religion has a heaven. And so it was theologically interesting. I mean, the arc of the Bible, the arc of the story, it's compelling. But for me, I spent a year looking into the archaeological evidence. Did Christ live? Okay, is it some sort of, is there translation errors? How could it go this long, and how did this happen? Testing the theology of it. I sort of envy people who just wake up one day, or they're born into it and they just have faith. I'm not that type of person. And at this point, I may not always live a perfect Christian life, but I don't have doubts about Christ's Christ's ability to save, the existence of Jesus Christ, the existence of God. I no longer have those doubts and those questions. I mean, from 18 to 20, I really spent a lot of time answering those questions. I mean, it was a project.
Now,
So,
tell me this: do you believe that it is Christ, the image of Christ, the idea of Christ, that allows people to accept the love that is necessary to be healed? Or do you believe that the Jesus ghost sweeps across the planet and the Holy Spirit fills people, and like break that down for me?
there's God, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
And they all are, it's the Trinity. They're one and the same, but they're three distinct beings.
Which
I believe that every person is born inherently with an understanding of God, an understanding of goodness. I think that, I believe, I don't know for sure, but I think that if you're born in sub-Saharan Africa, you know the golden rule. The golden rule is an inherent in all of us. And that's why libertarianism fits so well with Christianity, because it is perfectly consistent. You treat others as you would like to be treated. And any other form of government is the antithesis of the golden rule. So the two are mutually exclusive. We all have free will. We all make a choice. So because we all inherently, within each one of us, we have that conscience, we have that understanding. You can see God, you can see the creations of God in the heavens. I mean, just looking at the Hubble telescope pictures and what exists out there, you see a creator's hand. I'm not one of these people who think the earth was developed 6,000 years ago, but I think all of us have an inherent understanding of that, that God exists.
Is that a logical fallacy, though? The infinite regress? Because the proof of God relies on, well, what started that? What began at the beginning?
Well, but that's the question of, okay, the Big Bang burst into action. Well, within
no, I
physics,
don't look at it like that. I'm saying the Big Bang has the same logical fallacy as religion. Is that it's a logical fallacy. An infinite regress is, well, what started that? What started that? What started that?
Right.
I don't.
God and the Big Bang both have that same problem. that
I
we can't
don't,
get past 'cause
and
we're
I
human.
think that it is. I think that it is perfectly acceptable to say that there are things that we don't understand because we are imperfect creatures, and that we have limited
I don't think
abilities
it's because
to
we are,
reason.
I wouldn't say that we're imperfect creatures. I think we are perfect as we are, and maybe we just don't have to have all of the answers. Maybe that's not.
That's what I'm saying. Is you can look at it from a purely logical perspective. You can look at it like Richard Dawkins and say, well, aha, we've got the infinite regress. That disproves the theory of God. And I would say we use 10% of our brains, and we're talking about a creator who created the entire heavens. I mean, you cannot, logically, you have to have faith at some point. That is part of all religion. At some point, you have to say there are things that I cannot understand, and I look forward to finding out the answer to.
Yeah, but at times when we turn to faith, I mean, okay. I spent some time this weekend, this will surprise you, at an interfaith peace hippie.
And your skin isn't charred from bursting into flames?
I know, nobody exploded. It was so crazy. So Vinny approaches...
Who is your rambunctious and
amazing...
incredibly... well, you know what? It doesn't shock me that he's an advocate who likes to antagonize Spangle, which I 100% support.
So he was
My
wondering...
life is combat.
Yes. So he was wandering around meeting people at booths, and he had a wonderful time. He met the lady at the something to do with Judaism, Hebrew, something. I don't know. He got a dreidel. He was so excited about the dreidel.
Are you talking about God's chosen people and you just mocked it and dismissed it as something?
I
he got a
did not,
toy?
but
Wow.
know that I'm one generation removed. So
From?
my grandmother's grandmother was Jewish. So
Well, I have a friend who's black. Doesn't I mean? So
it does, yeah. No,
gives you license.
Right. And all I'm saying is I don't know what the organization was called. It was
I get
either
it.
Jewish or Hebrew, something.
Hi, Yakshamash.
Okay. L'chaim. And so he wandered around and he met all of these people, and the only one that really bristled me out of all of the pagan organizations, everybody was there, but the only one that really, I guess, bristled me was the Christian lady.
Yeah.
Because Vinny walked up and said hello and asked her what she was representing, basically. And she turned to him and said, "Oh, well, do you go to church on Sunday?" And he was like, and he couldn't really think about it. He wasn't he had to figure out what church was, because we don't.
Right.
And he had to go through,
We don't church.
Right. we don't
There's
church.
no verb necessary.
Right.
We don't church.
And so then she looks at him and she says, "Well, you would know. Do you go to Sunday school?" And he was like, "Well, sometimes." And I think my mother may have taken him to a Sunday school or two, whenever, whatever. And she turned to him and she said, "Well, you need to, because that is very important."
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that for a Christian, knowing God as or Jesus as your Savior is the utmost critical, what have you. And she had nothing but my son's best interest in mind. But you don't know how much self-control I had to exercise not to reach across the table and educate her on what was and was not important for my son's development. And I'm not convinced Sunday school is so fucking critical at this juncture in his life.
I would say as a member of the Western culture, I do think that it is important for kids to get some understanding of religion. Like, I don't, I think...
he can understand it, but he's not going to be indoctrinated.
Right. Well, but...
Because I won't have
That's
it.
the thing, though.
You know what? I went to Sunday school almost every Sunday as a kid, and I turned into an atheist. And part of the reason I became an atheist was, we went to the same church, Greg and I.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
The sticker
Known each other a
system.
long time.
I didn't know that.
The sticker system, where if you missed a day, well, all these kids have a sticker every single day, every Sunday they attended, and you don't. It was meant to shame you into coming to church.
The place I was bullied the most was VBS,
Right.
Vacation Bible School.
And it also...
That's where I lost all respect for human beings, I believe. No joke.
No better place than church.
No
Right.
shit.
In the summer, it's hot. They never have air conditioning. They're very
They
cheap.
had this place that I went had they had homeless day,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea was to raise awareness of the homelessness issue, and they were going to have a whole talk about it. And the point was you had to dress like a derelict to come to VBS that day.
Right.
Well, I got the weeks fucked up, and I went the Wednesday before in full-blown homeless drag, and you would not believe how they ridiculed me, to the point that I never went back and lost all respect for them as an organization. So let me understand this. The following week, we were supposed to receive a sermon and lesson on how we are to treat the homeless with dignity, respect, and kindness. But because I came on the wrong fucking week, dressed as one, no one intervened while I was just picked on mercilessly.
Yeah.
The thing
And
I'm
some of
having a
the
hard time
teachers-
grasping is you're blaming an institution instead of...
No, I don't blame the institution. I blame the individuals, and I lost faith in the
But
institution.
who told you wrong?
Who told me wrong?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Why'd you
told me
dress as a
wrong?
homeless person that day?
Like, the motivation for dressing as a homeless person is
No, but who
Real-
told you?
Are we really asking why
the
Gena
teachers,
spaced out?
I guess.
No,
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 I
no.
fucked up the week.
No, but who?
Really,
Who?
Greg?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out his point, too.
Your track
Get us
record's
to your
not good
point.
this week. You're trying
That's
to be.
true. Yep, I will
No,
avoid
just get
that
us to
like
your
the
point,
plague.
because I'm not following your logic.
I'm saying... Yeah.
No, say it. I'm not sensitive on this one, really, because that's what burnt my bridge.
No, if it was the teachers that told you wrong, I totally get it. That's
but
why I
they
would hate
didn't.
church
Okay,
too.
so the teachers told me the right day, and I made a mistake. So I own the mistake of showing up dressed completely inappropriately on the wrong day at the wrong time. But what they have to own is that as teachers, as instructors,
Yeah, you exposed the hypocrisy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I didn't
Right.
only expose the hypocrisy; I got to wear the hypocrisy.
Here's what I would
I
say.
was hoping you could pin it on someone else.
yeah, but no.
I think there's two dynamics here, and one, I think people don't realize that churches are full of human beings, and you're going to be treated pretty much the same as you would at school or any other institution. But I think we're more sensitive when we go to a church. But I will also say that people at church are more judgmental.
Yeah.
Like Christians and libertarians have the same problem. They focus on the wrong things.
Purity.
It's just like the negativity of it all. You know, Christians wouldn't be in the same position. They wouldn't be in this position where they have lost the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they have lost the sense that you know Billy Graham doesn't exist in this day and age. In 1960, if you wrote a letter to Billy Graham, the UPS, the post office just sent it to Minnesota, where his headquarters was. Like, he was a major cultural figure with a lot of influence.
Mm-hmm.
Name the religious leader in our day and age that legitimately has that measure of influence.
Joel Osteen.
Osteen may be the closest thing, and
He's Tony Robbins,
Right.
with Christianity.
But
Yeah.
he's not even really giving the gospel as the gospel is laid out. He's giving you a self-help class.
Right.
But
Maybe-
a nice guy.
Maybe the new pope has it going. Now, Osteen figures into this. Osteen puts a bright, shiny, happy face on Christianity.
And a good-looking, charming,
Right.
charismatic face as
Well,
well.
If
Whoa.
if you
hot
want,
for
he is
Olsen?
charismatic. No, but
You
he's
like
charismatic.
the man perm?
No, but what I'm saying is, like, when
The
you think
man
about
perm.
presidents,
Yeah.
JFK's the hot one, or maybe Clinton if you're fucked up. But when you think about, biblical, whatever the hell fuck you want to call these self-help guru,
Right.
Jesus fanatics,
Tell us how you really feel.
I know.
dare
Osteen
you.
is a lot better looking than Billy Graham. I mean,
back
yeah,
in the day, Billy was kind of hot.
whatever.
But what I'm saying is that if you're going to convert people, if you want to maintain relevance, start with where people will agree on you first. Start on the principles that we all agree on. Violence is bad.
Right.
Okay, stealing
money.
is wrong.
I feel totally vindicated right now for being
Why?
on We Are Libertarians.
Why?
Because I was one of those people that said, let Glenn Beck be the first taste of people's libertarianism. Let XYZ be that first taste and then lead them down the rabbit hole. And I was crucified for that.
Really?
Oh, my.
I don't think by
Not
me.
by you. No, not
Yeah.
by you, but by others.
Definitely not me, because I
You know
was
much-
down for it too.
You were really cool about not giving me hate mail, but like one or two times you did, I was like, oh, no.
Okay.
He like would occasionally let one slip through, and it would be like, libertarian Republican doesn't mean anything. And I was like, I never let it bother me, but I was like, my God, I have a lot of work to do, to convince people. But like, I'm totally of that mind that you kind of lead people down the path.
Yeah,
you know?
you can't beat people over the head and expect them. Like, I understand Maya's Overton window, and I think she does a good job of it by demanding this pure position that you must measure your principles by. I understand that. But when it comes to religion, people are much more sensitive. Like, the Christian church should have stayed focused on orphans and widows.
Right.
And Samaritan's Purse is a great example of a Christian-based healthcare system that works. Focus on the needs of society.
And honestly,
don't focus on penises and vaginas so much, please.
And stay out of the war.
And remember,
game.
Christ was two things. Christ was from God,
Yeah.
and Christ was from Mary.
Right.
He was part human.
Yeah.
Right.
That doesn't. Human could be divine. We don't know until we
I mean,
encounter
to be
him.
honest with you, even in
We're creatures that continually lie, cheat, slaughter, steal. Our first impulses as kids is to steal that cookie.
Christ
to be told
was
not to.
viewed as human until he was resurrected. So for Christ's entire life, literally, he was human. He may have claimed to be the Son of God.
He never did.
Right? Others
Who,
may
Jesus?
have on
Yeah.
his behalf.
No, he said, "I am."
I am the Son
That
of
is
God.
he said, "I am," which is a declaration of "I am Yahweh."
What book's that in?
I don't know. One of them,
Which one?
John.
Luke.
I don't know.
I
It's in
love
Luke.
it. I love the nerd off over the Bible gasm.
Luke was written about 60, 70 BC or AD. Yeah.
So
Right.
we're just saying.
So I'm just all I'm saying is
Nice to you left that
if
one
you,
in.
If you read the Synoptic Gospels, it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Luke was clearly the most educated of all of
Right.
the individuals,
He
and
was a
Luke
doctor.
is the most brilliantly written. He was a Greek doctor. So not only was it not written at the time of Christ, it was 70 years after, and it was written in Greek.
In a completely different culture.
So if I told Gena, please have and what's your maiden name, by the way?
Hancock.
Hancock. Please, Herbie?
Every time I say my last name, we got to revisit
No,
Herbie.
I'm sorry. But I mean, if I were to have your original descendants come to the United States, and 60 years later, please write this in your native tongue. There are going to be things that are lost in translation.
Absolutely.
Given the political ramifications at the time, things are going to get
Plus,
distorted.
I'm not going to know what happened 60 years ago.
I know. So all I'm saying is that I'm
certainly not gonna have
I
direct
believe
quotes.
Jesus Christ was one of the most important, actually probably the most important leader of actually all of humanity. I'll go ahead and say that because
But
education doesn't persist to this day without the institution of the
But
Catholic
was
Church.
You do realize-
Jesus Christ the most prolific leader?
He was.
Or was the image of Jesus used by a prolific leader centuries later to become the most prolific icon?
Yeah,
Both
but
of
who,
them.
Who was that?
Simultaneously.
Because really,
I mean-
Jesus, as far as Jesus' actual disciples, there might have been, 10 of them? So he might have led, 10 folks?
I love revisionist history.
I'm just saying.
12.
No, there were 12. There were 12.
Anyway.
and then Paul came along afterwards. But
Sorry.
And that's
A
what this
baker's
conference
dozen.
is about.
That man
Paul was
led a
bought off
baker's
as the
dozen.
supposition.
yeah. Well, there's also a recent study that it was psyops to control the Jewish people with Christ. But
You know what's really funny is if you rearrange the Jewish books, the Torah, the Talmud, all of the books in order, because they were rearranged in Christianity, it was made to look like a Savior was ready to appear in the Old Testament, like it was time for Christ to appear.
Right.
If you go in order, that's why the Jewish people don't believe Jesus Christ is the Savior.
Right.
He was promised way down the line. Instead, the Christians rearranged the Talmud to make it look like
To
it was
make
only
it
natural
fit.
that Christ would appear at the time in history he
I did not
appeared.
know that.
Yeah.
yeah.
But don't ever study religion that will make you cynical and realize that
Oh.
you're just alone.
I've had friends that have
No
been...
hope.
I had the opposite. You were in the bathroom when I said this. I spent a year to 2 years studying every aspect, archaeological. I mean, I have a book over there.
I mean,
you know.
Spangle, you may have done an investigation of your own. I've got a friend who spent time in the catacombs underneath the Vatican looking through the actual original parchments of the text, the Gospel of Thomas.
Right.
That's where I first heard about it, was when he got back from Italy.
Yeah, but people always make that argument. Like, I can't talk about women's issues. You can't talk about weight issues, Gina, because you're not fat like
Oh, I'm
me.
not saying you can't
Like-
talk about it. I'm just saying, like, you are not as full-blown nerd on
Well, sure.
on investigation, on religious investigation, as somebody who has literally bought the cloth.
But even they weren't there. So there is
Yeah,
no
true,
authority.
truth.
Right.
Yeah,
There's interpretation. The Apocrypha, all the books that weren't accepted,
Mm-hmm.
were voted out. The people who voted against them were the Arians. The Arians believed Christ was part human and part divine, and they believed that that day at that vote there was only one vote against, was that group, that all of a sudden Christ was not divine and all of a sudden he was. Everyone else, 324 to 325, believed that he in fact had always been divine. I mean, if you believe in democracy and democratic ideals, you can't exactly disagree with them.
Yeah. I don't.
Come to the dictator side, Gena.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure I follow your logic there. As far as I lost the argument.
The argument is that just because something's popular doesn't mean it's correct.
Agreed.
Right?
Yes.
So,
I agree with that 100%.
So that puts you in an untenable situation, saying that we're all quote-unquote libertarians and we believe that's the right course for human history, but there's no way to prove that via natural right. It's because we all like it.
I don't necessarily believe libertarianism is the way that everybody should go. I just feel like it's the way that I'm going.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, I don't feel the need to enforce
What's that grounded in?
It's very postmodern of you.
It's honestly the false binary.
Okay.
It's for me, it's grounded in bursting the false binary of the two-party system.
Perfect. Why?
Because the false binary of the two-party system is ineffective and it's not furthering our government system.
Why is it ineffective?
You know, I would have to say individuals and party lines and what do I want to say when they are...
What are all those based on?
The ego. The ego and the other parts that matters.
The principles, right?
Yeah.
What are your principles based on?
My principles? I'm not sure which principles.
The principles of libertarianism.
Oh.
Where does your
Sitting
moral
on that couch over there.
Where does your moral compass come from?
Where
So-
does my
so in
where
fact-
does my moral compass come
Yeah.
from?
How did you
Experience.
become the person that you are?
Experience.
Did you admit earlier that you think we only really experience a certain amount, but we do not in fact encounter and are able to process everything we experience? The 10% of the human brain, only 10% of it's operational.
That was him.
Oh, that
That was me. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do you believe you experience everything, though?
You have no idea what kind of shit I have experienced lately.
Oh, I know. I've met you before. I know that what I experience and what you experience are polar opposites.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
All I'm saying is that it's almost impossible, no matter what your set of beliefs
No,
is.
true.
There is no cornerstone about anything.
Well, I mean, as far as like providing a structure or a foundation,
I don't know that there's a single cornerstone that exists. Natural right can't be proved. There
okay,
is
so you're
no
talking about a
capital T.
philosophical.
No, anywhere.
cornerstone.
You can't base anything in absolute truth. You can't sit here and tell me genocide's absolutely better than not committing genocide.
But as someone who values human life, so if I place the value on human life,
Sure, but why?
because it is the core of existence.
Why?
Because if you are not,
So nothing
Living,
exists
you're
in the
dead.
ideal, not in actually physical. So there is no
I
spiritual.
mean,
then.
things exist in the ideal, absolutely. But as far as the pursuit of life,
Huh? But you're saying you wouldn't exist if the physical didn't exist. But in fact, you believe there is a spiritual
Oh,
which exists
absolutely.
outside of the physical.
I do believe that
So
absolutely.
you could exist in the pure form while not existing in the physical form.
But I can't condone someone's actions that wipe out an entire segment of a population.
But would they be unjustified by fact? My point is that even if you're a libertarian,
Spangle just farted into the
no matter what your
microphone.
framework is, what you believe in, your cornerstones,
Oh God.
there's no way of saying concretely and looking at another person saying you're wrong.
I agree with that, which is why I've always said things like wrong is such a definitive term, or wrong is such a... Have you heard me say that?
Oh, all the
That was
time.
my reference. It's because I try to keep an open mind, but there are times when an individual crosses a line where I'm going to let them know. For
You may
example,
not like it.
Right.
Point is, you can't prove why you don't like it because it's not based on any reasoning.
No, like there are certain things where, like, say for example, my child is threatened and I come unglued on you. I don't give a fuck whether or not you accept my rational basis for why it's not okay for you to harm my child. You're just not gonna.
So might makes right.
Possibly. I mean,
Didn't you just compromise on your morals that were all
no.
Greg, this is like
No, I
Greg's
did
favorite.
not.
Like
I know.
this is Greg.
loves to play the YYY game.
He loves
Three levels
having a
of
little
Y.
toy.
I know.
I'm not having a little toy. All I'm saying is like,
My
actually, I'm
issue-
defending Spangle. I'm defending religion.
Okay.
No matter what you believe in
Which is
this
why I
world,
shouldn't.
no matter what you believe in this world,
Okay.
regardless, it's an act of faith.
Yes.
You
Right.
have to have that moral code, and you have to look at the facts. You have to look at the world around you, acknowledge reality, and say, this is what I believe. God damn it, I can't prove why I believe it, but I'm right, and I am going to advocate for that.
I mean, my faith, I try not to be pushy about it ever, and I try to be a normal guy, but, you know, and this podcast certainly shows it, but it is a guide to measure myself with. Just as Maya is that guide that you go, okay, how's my philosophy this week? Like, my...
Ironed it up.
It checked... I'm glad I'm interested.
No,
in
I
that.
No,
am
go
interested
for
in
it.
she-
Tell us
No,
more.
it's okay. I quit.
Okay.
Maya is
No.
your gauge of up.
Right, but I'm saying religion, especially at a time when I was figuring out who I was from 18 to 20, like it really instilled a lot of good principles in me. It taught me gentleness. It taught me patience. It taught me modesty, as much modesty as I can muster. When we did our before we got married at the church, we sat down and took these little surveys. And Pastor Ted was like, "Oh my, I've never seen anyone with self-confidence that high before. You're in the 99th percentile or something ridiculous." Like
For you or Sam?
No, for me, it was pegged way at the top for self-confidence. You believe you can do anything? I'm like, "Yep, sure can." I mean,
I'm a millennial. Go fuck yourself.
That's right.
And
Fucking
so-
bulletproof.
False prophet.
so I need a certain level of shame programmed into me to go, okay, you're not that great. You know, so there's it keeps you grounded. I mean, learning patience.
But do you need that? I mean, do you really need to turn to a religious institution to teach you that you are not as amazing?
It's not a
as you
religious
think you are?
institution. It's a deeply personal held belief. It's a faith system. I don't go to church. I have a home church. I do attend as much as I can, but I'm often pretty much too busy to go be a part of that community. Which
You used
I
to
know is
attend
not
a lot
great.
more.
I did. I attended church several times a week, but
I
Because
always
you
wanted to ask
needed
you
be
that. Like, I feel like
grounded?
since like We're Libertarians has done well, like you used to go to church a lot,
no. I
twice
I-
a week.
when I was going to when I was from 18 to like 25, I went to church several times a week. What the hell? And then you just lit Greg's shirt on fire.
Okay, Greg's shirt was fraying, and I did him a favor. Now look, it's no longer fraying.
You know, I get called a.
Look, I fixed your shirt. It's no longer fraying.
How many times in one night have you been called an asshole that wants kids to commit suicide and been lit on fire? Judge me now, bros. Judge me now.
No, it goes in cycles. There are times where, like this time last year, I was going to church a lot because I had the time. I don't have the time right now, and I miss like my small group that I go to.
So faith got put behind what?
No, but
Ooh!
no, faith is no
I'm just
the
asking.
the physical act of going to a building and participating in a community.
Worship got
has
put
been-
behind what?
Has been put behind. Faith never gets put behind.
But the scripture clearly says
Ooh.
that if
okay. Right. Well, the scripture
And
also
on the
says that
Sabbath-
I shouldn't be a part of Storytime with Gena, and I shouldn't put this smut on the
Very
air. But
true.
I
It's
do.
true.
very true, very true. But was that necessarily redeemed in the New Testament?
Here we go, Greg.
You're
But
not
why?
going to lens me.
But why?
But why?
But why?
I feel like I have a fourth grader on my couch.
you have
She
two
did just
of-
light me on fire.
You have a pair of them, actually.
Yeah.
He's
Whoa!
the first with the but why?
Whoa!
You should see the face. Look at it.
I'm offended that I get called a fourth grader.
But
Well,
why?
I only
She's-
play with first graders.
She's
But
the
why?
size of one.
No, I was wondering. I mean, I knew you used to go a lot, and I know you don't go as
Yeah,
much
no,
anymore.
it's just a matter of time. You know all the stuff I got going
No,
on.
I know that.
I mean, Wednesday nights I would like to go, but I've got Rupert stuff. So
I get it.
it's, you know, should I serve my community? Should I help this charity? Or should I go
Yes.
to church?
Well,
So
should you help Maya create her podcast, or should
Yeah.
you believe in Christ and
Bird. I love it.
you know, creating
false choices?
creating
Sophie's choice, baby.
But you know what? Creating Maya was created to give people an insight into a process that doesn't have people want to
Much
ask questions.
Exposure. Yeah.
Right. It's about bringing
To
awareness.
create
Right.
understanding.
You're not alone. Like
You-
that's what I always thought when I
Yeah,
listened to it.
you-
It was that awareness that there are people out there like you and don't feel as desperate as you do.
If I am a complicated, inconsistent, hypocritical type person, I accept that. I wouldn't even say hypocritical, but inconsistent, I understand. But I am like every other person on the entire planet.
Yep.
So you, as a Methodist, you're always trying to progress towards holiness, but I just may take a little longer than others.
And I have seen him dance at a school dance, so clearly he's in violation of Methodist principles.
Oh, you
let me
saw
tell
Goody
ya.
Spangled dancing
Heck,
at the dance?
he invites all kinds of people on this podcast, and that's technically gambling, which is against our religion.
Trust me, tonight I came up deuces. So, all right, kiddies. Well, it's time for y'all to leave my house so I can
I
get to sleep.
agree. I had a blast. It's been a crazy week, but I can't wait until the weekend. Everybody's working for the weekend.
Yep.
I should have things to schlep this weekend, but I can't think of them. If you guys aren't busy, I don't know which night. Never mind, I'll keep my mouth shut because I don't know exactly when it's happening.
Is it a party or is it like a fundraiser? Or?
No, I've got some friends who are doing a concert this weekend, though. That
Where?
could be an event. The Melody.
Oh, on 30th in Illinois?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Close to the B-Rep.
Yeah. Are you down that way? You want to
live
come
in
join me?
Broderville.
Well, could you join me Saturday night?
Saturday night.
No, Friday night. Friday night.
Oh, yeah, I could do Friday night, but I'll be
Really?
at Robert Randolph Saturday night.
I think
slippery
I see.
noodle.
I think Saturday night is their punk rock night, and I don't know who's playing, so it must be Friday. Yeah, if you can do Friday at like 10, totally come.
I'll come
join
by
me.
for a beer. We'll see
Oh,
if I get
fuck
kicked
yeah.
out.
All right, I'll make sure. of
I'm
it.
not usually welcomed at most social establishments,
Oh, you're always welcome when you're on
especially
my
south
arm.
of about 42nd.
All right. Spangle Bear, what are you doing on your phone?
There's something that I got in my email that is hilarious.
Are you
that is-
scrolling the good scroll by brother?
Oh no, it's just I'll tell you off air.
It's really absurd when you put your phone down and you step away from that. How
love it.
it's everywhere. I've been.
I'm
off-
sorry, you guys were making plans for tomorrow night. I was like, I'm gonna check my email because I'm not going anywhere tomorrow night. I've got podcasts to edit.
Oh,
So
We need to hire some Indians so you don't have to work so hard.
we really
we really
do.
should get some little people. Why
But
haven't we done that?
They're
Why
just
are all Indians little people racist
I didn't
much?
mean Indians. I
God,
meant little people.
Just because they're not physically
I was making a sarcastic remark. I don't even believe in little people.
I have a friend that's Indian.
if
I
you'd
have a
like to
friend
be
who's
one
little.
of my little people, please submit your application at
Yes.
wearelibertarians.com.
All right. Well, anyway, get off your phones, drive, or do whatever it is that you do and you love doing. Love your family, love your friends, make your friends your family. Love each other.
Masturbate.
Masturbate heavily,
See?
regularly.
Inconsistent.
Just find the religion that coincides with masturbation, and you'll be as close to godliness as you'll ever be.
Personally, this is my personal advice, and you can take it, leave it, or whatever. Avoid religion in general. Religion, I believe, leads to unhealthy, unholy alliances and bad things.
The hard part is
Spoken like
distinguishing-
somebody who doesn't have a relationship with a religion.
I don't have yes, I do. I have a broken relationship with Christianity.
Right.
I have an ex
No,
relationship.
you have a broken relationship with some a-holes in a church.
Okay, like that's the only church I've gone to.
Right.
Come on.
But
I have a broken relationship with Christianity. I have an ex relationship with Judaism. I had an interest in Hinduism, but it didn't really lead me far.
Have you ever read about the Gnostics?
Yes, I have.
Gnostics.
You seem like you'd be a good Buddhist.
I think you'd be a good Gnostic.
Well,
Yeah.
That Christianity is.
I'm
from
none of
within.
these things,
or
though.
That religion is self-knowledge.
see, for me, religion is tied to the group think, the group mind, the group acceptance, the group.
Gnosis relieves that burden. It's all about
Yeah,
self-knowledge.
But would you call me a follower of the crowds?
I would hope not, but I've never seen you in that element.
I've never seen him around Rick Santorum, so I'll suspend judgment.
See, in this element, no, you're absolutely not a follower of the crowds. But in the event that you were in that element and someone who
Well, but
you
there's
respected,
but following rituals and worship are not the same thing as following the crowd.
absolutely, yeah, no.
So, I mean, we all have rituals
if you
in our
need
lives.
that element in your life, if it gives you a benefit,
Enriches your experience.
sure,
Right.
sure. I'm not judging you. I'm just suggesting that.
You die in a horrible fire
No,
crash.
reconsider what Christ considered to be important.
You die.
Yes, thank you, Greg.
I've fought these battles many times.
Muffins thought that was funny.
Yeah, it was pretty amusing. I snorted, so it couldn't have sucked entirely.
All right. Say goodnight, Gina.
Good night, Gina.